Hey everybody, Mark here at Discover Your Home. Thank you again for joining me tonight. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about bathroom painting, problems, solutions, some ideas to improve the overall look of your bathroom, and let's get right into it. Let's talk about some of the issues that we've seen over the years when we are working in residences across the Chicagoland area. A lot of times what we're going to find, our biggest challenge is peeling paint. And usually it's located in ceilings above like showers or bathtubs, either because the drywall wasn't primed properly, or there's a lot of moisture that's condensing on a ceiling. We find that there'll be it'll start to peel in a very large area. So what we want to do is make sure we get that scraped down. Sometimes we've even pulled down the drywall or even resurfaced the whole drywall with a thin skin of like 3/8 inch just to go over the top of it. So you want to get that sealed up, primed, a good quality, high quality latex primer. I also like using guards, which is a great product that's designed to kind of stop peeling and lifting. You can also use a product called Peel Stop, which works really nice. So you want to kind of lock that all in, get it all cleaned up, patched, and repaired. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is mold. And you're going to find a lot of mold where obviously water is reoccurring in a similar spot, or moisture occurs. Usually it's the bottom corner, outside edges between the drywall where it meets the tile, because of either the doors don't close properly, or you're getting maybe a shower curtain, or somewhere you're getting water outside the tiled shower area. So that can usually present a problem. Also, we find a lot of mold on the ceilings in bathrooms, because what we're traditionally finding is that the exhaust fans sometimes are not properly vented, and when that air is sucked out of the bathroom, it's supposed to go to an outer vent, and sometimes people either when they put that ductwork in, they either serpentine it, or it gets kinked, or they don't properly vent it. Air will back into the house. In fact, I looked at a job probably 15 years ago, very close to where I live here, and what had happened was when they vented it out into the eave, which is the underside of the exterior of the home, the air was pushing it all back in, and when we went and looked up, we saw that there was just this tremendous amount of mold on the ceiling. We went up into the attic, and there was just mold spores everywhere. It looked like coal dust. That's how thick it was, because there was a hole in the vent line, and everything was just backing into the house. So that's real key. So once we've recognized we've got some mold and mildew here, we want to make sure we treat it, get it cleaned off of there. Usually it's not harmful. I know there's some that are out there. Use a mask, follow directions with any sort of cleaner. You can go down to your local Home Depot or Menards, or even your hardware store. Find something that will work to clean it up. Okay, it will clean it and kill it. Okay. Another item is really it depends on who you have in your home. If there's a lot of use of hairspray, that's usually a big problem. What ends up happening is that there's wax in hairspray, or some sort of byproduct of wax in hairspray, and when sprayed on your head, it hits the back wall behind you, or the door and door frames and stuff. So you need to make sure you clean that off. We find that denatured alcohol works real good, or scuffing it real good with some sandpaper to take that off. Same thing also with toothpaste that gets up on the wall. Trust me, I've seen it all. I know, quite a few customers, especially with kids, things just kind of get slopped around and splashed on the walls. So we want to make sure that we get that cleaned off before we go ahead and apply any sort of paint to that surface. Okay, so that's our problem areas. That's what we see probably 90% of the time. that are the trouble areas. Usually if there's anything more than that, it's usually kind of a situation that's above and beyond what we've already talked about. So what do I recommend as far as paint usage? We want something that is mold resistant. There's a couple different products that I've used over the years that I really like. Start with Benjamin Moore Bath and Spa. Nice product, goes on great. Very do-it-yourself friendly. Also, two products that I like to use. Well, also let me follow that up. I also like to use the Regal Select Eggshell. I like a little bit of sheen on my walls in the bathrooms so we can wipe it off. If you have a larger bathroom and you're a little bit neater and maybe don't have as much wear and tear on your bathroom, I'd go with the Regal Select Matte Finish, especially if you have larger bathrooms with big spans of drywall. It has a tendency to show less seams. Also, if you do have larger bathrooms like that and you do have some drywall issues, the things that aren't going to be fixed, just by a little spackle and a little mud knife. Stay lighter on the color. The darker the color, the higher the sheen, the greater the imperfections are shown. So another tip to you guys out there. Also, I like to use a couple products from Sherwin-Williams. I like the Emerald Eggshell and the Duration Home Eggshell. I think it's more of a satin finish. So not much of a difference in my world. I think you can really can't be able to tell the difference between the two of them when you look that close. But real durable, flows on real well, levels great, both excellent products. So these are the, if I'm looking to freshen up my bathroom and get it, looking brand spanking new again, these are, top of the line products you're going to want to use. I'm a real big believer in using a better quality material because your time invested into this project is usually a master bath can take a do-it-yourselfer, two good 8-hour days to take care of, depending upon how large it is. So if you're going to go through the hassle of doing it yourself, make sure you use a good product because it actually will make your job a lot easier. Always good products and good applicators like brushes and roller covers. We can talk a little bit later about that in one of our next segments somewhere down the road. Okay, so once we're all done with it, there's a couple things I always recommend to the customers out there and to you out there, my listeners and followers. This is a great time now to change out your light fixtures. You probably had that old dressing. Some people call it a Hollywood light. Some call it a costume light. It's basically just a strip of bulbs going across. We see that in a lot of homes. Now's the time to change out that or that old brass color, that bright brass, and change it out to something a little bit more contemporary. It's a good time to do that. You got a new fresh paint job in there, go ahead, change it out. A lot of folks now are changing their shower doors. They had the older style framed shower doors, the metal framing all the way around. It kind of looks a little clunkier. Everybody's now starting to go to the frameless shower doors. You can even pick up stock sizes at your local hardware store with clear glass. But there again, you can also invest in a little bit thicker glass, something a little bit more customized. So you'll spend a few dollars on it, but really does make the bathroom pop. These are a couple little items that I'm going to recommend if you're going to go ahead and want to change, without going too crazy, change the look of your bathroom. Also, I want to talk to you about the exhaust fan, and that's where a lot of problems lie. This might be a great time to change your exhaust fan. Now, I know I'm almost certain that Braun, I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty close to 100% that Braun has, you can take their system out and plug and play in a new system. So what you might want to find, if you're finding that you're having, that the moisture, warm moist air from a shower is not getting out of your bathroom, you might want to go to a larger fan. What's kind of standard in a typical, I would say kind of like a 5x10, 5x12 bathroom, hall bathroom, guest bathroom. Usually it'll be a 50 CFM or an 80 CFM, which CFM means cubic feet per minute. That's the volume of air that is going to be pulled out of the room every minute. So 50 is 50 cubic feet. So go to a little bit larger one if you find that it's just not working for you. 80 is a pretty good size for that. I think we've done 110 in Masters. They get larger than that too. It also depends on where they're located in the bathroom. If they're a little bit higher, location really is the key. So if you don't feel like your fan's working, well, first and foremost, it might be just old. If it sounds like it's a little clunky, the bearings are probably going in it. So now's a good time to go ahead and replace that and maybe even step up to just a little bit larger model. Okay. Also with that, make sure it is vented properly. That will solve a lot of problems for future, mold, mildew issues. You're going to have to get up in that attic. If you don't feel comfortable, hire a professional to get up there and vent it properly according to the codes in your area. That is key, because I'll tell you what, it'll make a world of difference in the mold and mildew issues and how that fan is designed to work. And then finally, little tip here, caulk the transition areas. And what I mean by that is I like to go and use a small tube of clear silicone, and anywhere I'm transitioning from, say, one surface to another. So I'll give you a good example. So if you look in your average bathroom in the Chicagoland area, you'll find that there's baseboard that runs up to the tile. What I will do is I will caulk where the tile and the baseboard, which is generally wood, meet. Okay. I will also caulk the bottom edge about 12 to 18 inches out along where the baseboard touches the tile, the floor tile. Okay. Also the tile where the tile meets the tub or the shower base. So you get a nice clean barrier there in case you step out of the shower and you have a little bit more water on your body and it runs off. It doesn't get underneath the baseboard. So it's just a little tip for you guys out there to help you out. You'd be surprised. You put a nice tight bead in there, wipe it real clean and everything. You can barely, in fact, you probably can't even notice it, especially with the clear. And you'll be pleasantly surprised on how well it keeps that water kind of on the hard surface, like your porcelain and your ceramic and some sorts of stone. That's kind of it as far as talking a little bit about ways to improve your bathroom. I'm going to kind of finish off here. I'm going to be testing a product sometime in the future here. I'm going to show this to you. This is a new product out by Benjamin Moore. Read about it. Sounds really interesting. It's called Century. And what it is a small batched first soft touch matte paint. They've got some samples here. I'm going to kind of open up the card here. There's 75 colors there. And it's kind of unique. I can't wait to try it. Kind of run your fingers across the samples here. And it's got I don't know, I'll describe it as a velvet or a velour feel to it. It's really neat. So I'm going to be real interested in trying this product out. It's kind of craft batching. They make it in small batch. It's called small batch interior paint. Probably, kind of like craft beers. This is now craft paint. So we're going to try this out. We're going to test it at some time here in the future. See how it applies. See how we can help you guys out when you're applying this newer product. Always like to test what's out there and see if it's beneficial and see what people think about it. And hey, again, I'm Mark at Discover Your Home. I want to thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week. Good night.